Welcome to Dear Husband, Dear Wife with Danny and Jenny Fuentes, a podcast about dating, marriage, and sex, where we break it down, keep it real, and unashamedly go there. Our goal is to foster a space that welcomes you to have conversations with us regarding these topics. And since we believe in seeking the truth about these topics, we guarantee to keep a biblical perspective in all things related. So go ahead and grab your favorite drink and or put those earbuds because it's about to get real. Hey.
Hey guys, what's up?
Welcome to Dear Husband, Dear Wife.
Yes, with Danny and Jenny.
Today we are starting a new series. It is the series that has to do with your first year of marriage. And so we're going to be talking about several things like the honeymoon phase. Is that even true or false? Conflict resolution, the importance of, setting up certain expectations within your first year, and so much more. But today's topic is about communication.
Conflict and communication. Sorry, not conflict and communication.
Just communication.
Just communication.
Yes, conflict and resolution will be something that we'll be tapping into later.
The other one was conflict and resolution. I said conflict and communication. That doesn't. Unless you have that, then that's a whole new set of issues.
Yeah. Well, we are coming live to you from
our living room, our dining room.
Our dining room. Yes.
Yeah, because we're not podcast people.
Yeah.
Therefore, we know nothing of what we're doing and just constantly going through the headaches before we start because we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. We just hope that the sound quality is better this time.
Yes. So, communication.
Yes, communication. So, let's go ahead and talk about the most important things about communication in your first year of marriage. So, Danny, babe, I guess my question to you is, what would you consider to be the most important things about communication? If you had to say something to someone who's either A, about to get married, or B, considering marriage, or C, is in their first year of marriage, like what would you say about communication?
I think you have to be honest in what you are definitely looking forward to in regard to marriage. Obviously, when you're in that journey of about to get married, it's very exciting. Nothing wrong can happen. Everything is perfect. We get it. But then you get married and then you start to see things from your spouse that you didn't see before. And then all of a sudden you start to ask yourself the question, well, this didn't come up while we were dating. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So some of you who are already married are definitely know what I'm talking about. And those of you who are on the journey of getting married have no idea what I'm talking about. But definitely communication is number one in any marriage. A lot of people have this misconception that, oh, well, I can't tell my spouse exactly what I'm thinking because if I do, then they're going to get upset. Well, that's the point. I mean, the point is for both parties to have the open space to be able to share what they really feel. It's not to say that you should go ahead and disregard your spouse's feelings and emotions, but this is to say, like, both parties, both husband and wife, need to have the space to be able to say, hey, I've noticed this. I really don't like it. It's bothering me or it's frustrating me, whatever the emotion is. And then also another thing that I've noticed, I definitely noticed this a lot in my marriage. Jenny has this tendency of like just randomly shouting out statements, like just into the air, like the dog's food, and then I'm like, okay, like what? Like I have this baffled look in my face, like the dog's food is it bad? Are we out of it? Is there a bug that got in it? I mean, and so technically when Jenny does that, she's actually what she's really saying is, Danny, I would like for you to feed the dog, please. So when I finally come to the realization that that's what she's asking from me, I go back to the statement, the dog's food. It doesn't really correlate to you wanting me to feed the dogs. So, just, I caught on to that and I'm like, Jenny, you gotta like
Be more clear
be more clear
and
and, and,
specific.
and specific in what you're asking of me.
Yes.
And then also, ladies, women out there, please, I say this with the utmost respect. We don't live in your brains. We don't think the way you do. We don't react. We don't behave. We don't talk like you do. So we know nothing of what goes on in your head. So for you to walk around and assume that we're going to figure out what it is exactly that you are thinking about before it even comes out of your mouth, there's a good chance the good Lord is going to come before that day ever happens. So voice your thoughts, women. Voice your opinions. Tell us what it is that you want, and we will do it.
Yes. So let's go back and retrace what you just said. So, number one, honesty. I think honesty, the best policy in a marriage is honesty. To be able to express yourself freely is very important. When we first started, when we first got married, I wasn't honest. I didn't feel not that I didn't feel safe. I grew up in a home where we couldn't really express ourselves because if we did, it was like you either A offended someone or B you would get like a spanking. It's that simple, you know?
I don't think it was something that you couldn't be honest. I think it was.
There was
I,
fear installed behind me having to be honest.
I think it was just, yeah.
The
You
trauma
were,
behind that.
yeah.
Yeah.
You were afraid because of what you had grown up to know.
Yes.
You shared your thoughts and you got
Shut down.
smacked in your face.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things that I want to encourage all young married couples is to cultivate and foster a space with each other where you feel safe to be honest. And if you don't feel safe, then you need to start asking yourself why you don't feel safe and start kind of addressing those areas that are keeping you from being feeling safe to be able to express yourself wholeheartedly to your spouse. The second thing that Danny pointed out is clear communication. And I think this goes a lot more for ladies than it does for guys. But I will admit there are times where Danny says something and it makes no sense to me either. And again, it's because I do believe that men and women are from two different worlds and we communicate in two different ways. So I do believe that clear communication as best as possible and as specific as possible is very important in your first years of marriage because if not then you're going to be arguing or you're going to be disappointed with your spouse because he or she couldn't read your mind. And in reality, as Denny said it, we're never going to be able to read each other's minds, and we're never going to be able to actually get anywhere if we are constantly believing and assuming that we know what each other is saying. So that's really important. The third one that I want to add into Danny's point of view in regards to communication is that communication should be communicated when you are at your best, like emotionally. Because sometimes communication, when you're feeling crappy or moody or you've had a bad day, can immediately lead to an argument.
Mm.
So I think it's very important to know when you are communicating and how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Because if you're angry, you're going to snap. And if you're upset, you're not going to clearly communicate or you're going to let your emotions drive your communication.
Yeah.
And that creates more problem
No
and
bueno.
and, and it creates a tension, which is the tension that we don't want
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, these are, I mean, definitely, these are definitely good, good points for everyone. Anybody that's, again, and for anyone that's out there who's married, who's been married, for any of you listening, and you have way more marriage experience under your belt. Um, but this kind of thing never gets old. Jenny and I are about to turn 10 years married next May, this May coming up. And again, I'm constantly learning brand new things that I thought I already knew. But no, life changes, and our likes and dislikes change, and hopefully for the better. But yeah, these are definitely things that we found very important um, in the beginning stages of our marriage because we both come from broken families. Jenny grew up pretty difficult in an environment where mom and dad were constantly yelling and fighting and just verbally hurting each other. And I grew up in a home where, my parents just disrespected each other like crazy. And so we are here just to share our, experiences, what we've been through.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone's marriage is different. No one's marriage is the same. But this is a sharing. In regards to communication, I remember, and I'll share this experience in regard to what Jenny was saying when it comes to being open with each other, do it in a do it in a very calm manner.
Yes.
Definitely not when you're having a rough day and you come home and suddenly your spouse, whatever, your husband left the shoes on the floor and you hate that, and he's getting smacked with his shoes and he's wondering what happened. Um, but I remember once in particular, Jenny and I were having a pretty strong argument and dispute. It got very loud, and I remember I just started getting very, very upset. And guys, I'm the kind of person that it takes a lot for me to get really angry. I mean, a lot. Like you can say like hurtful stuff, you can talk crap about me, say the most horrible things about me. And at this point in my life, I don't care. I could just turn around and just keep moving and I won't lose any sleep for it. But during this particular time, Jenny was, Jenny was the kind of person where she needed to fix the problem right there and then.
Mm.
Right there and then. And I was telling her like, Jenny, like emotionally, I can't do it right now. We're going to talk about it, but I'm just too upset. I can't talk to you while I'm this upset. And I'm talking to her in a very calm manner, to be honest with you. And she just kept pushing and kept pushing and kept pushing. And then I started to grow very upset and I started telling her, Jenny, you're making me angry. I need you to stop, please, before something bad happens. And nothing. So it kept going and then I snapped. Like I literally snapped. I yelled at the top of my lungs. I'm pretty sure the neighbors heard, which at the moment I didn't care. I was cursing the ABCs like crazy. And I think I was so angry to the point where I was standing right next to the wall. I literally turned to face the wall and I rammed my head towards it and I hit the wall. And then Jenny got really scared. Not that I was going to physically hurt her, because that was never my thought. I just wanted her to stop because I was getting very upset. But she saw that, she saw my reaction, she saw how I flared up, how I just started really cursing, and I started yelling, and then all of a sudden she tried to calm me down. And so by then, again, I'm enraged, I'm a loose cannon, you couldn't stop me if you tried. And so, I had to go that far. I had to, you know, react in a way that I wasn't proud of. Granted, I could have still kept my composure and found another way to get through to her, but I just couldn't take it. That day was not a good day for me. And then Jenny wanted to fix something that I knew we were going to fix, but not at the moment because emotionally I wasn't prepared for it. But she just kept pushing. She just kept pushing and she kept pushing. And so I reacted in a way that really scared her. And again, it was something that I wasn't proud of, but after I composed myself and after I reassured her that I wasn't going to, put my hands on her or throw any objects at her, I explained to her and I said, Jenny, like, I need you to understand. It's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's not that I'm trying to avoid it. It's just that at the moment, I wasn't prepared emotionally to speak to you about it because I knew that my emotions were going to be what was driving me to say or to express myself.
Yeah.
And so guys, you have to keep in mind that sometimes you probably have asked yourself, like, why do we fight so much? Or why are we arguing all the time? And sometimes it's just bad timing. It has absolutely nothing to do with your spouse or anything. It's just probably the fact that maybe you're doing it in a moment where it shouldn't be dealt with right there and then.
Yeah.
But you also have to keep in mind, folks, that when it comes to those circumstances, you have to talk about it. You have to go back to that circumstance, that situation. You have to bring it up. But again, Jenny and I, it's different for us because we also don't have kids. And so it's a little easier for Jenny and I to be able to just like, hey, when we get home, we're going to hash this out. And we do. But for those, I wonder for those of you who have kids, it might be different because obviously the last thing that you want is to allow your children to watch mom and dad just tear each other to shreds with words and whatnot. So, definitely, folks, when it comes to those moments when you feel like, okay, we need to take care of the situation, but your emotions are not where they need to be, then you definitely want to allow the space to just like, okay, you know what, let me take a breather, or I gotta just do something else for now until I cool off, so that we can talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's very important for us to understand, for each of you guys to understand that in your first year of marriage, as we were saying, honesty is going to be very important. Honesty is the policy that you should continue to practice, and being honest of how you're feeling at that moment. The second thing, as Danny said, being clear in our communication is going to be very important. And the other thing that I was just talking about that Danny kind of referenced into right now was the idea of how we have to be emotionally stable at the moment that we're communicating. Because if we're not, it's definitely going to be
Yeah.
hard. And then the fourth thing that I would want to add to that, I don't know if you got the cue on, or the clue, sorry, on what Danny was saying, but with communication, good communication requires good listening.
Mm.
And
Oh, yeah.
and in this case, I wasn't listening to Danny. In this case, I wasn't really paying attention to what he was feeling. I was actually dismissing what he was saying. And in marriage, your opinion, ladies, is as important as your husband's opinion. And your feelings are as important as his feelings. Your emotions are as important as his emotions. And that requires the sacrifice of listening to each other and listening to one another. And I think that those are two different things. When you're listening to each other, you're listening to what so and so is saying. But when you're listening to one another, you are registering what that person is saying. And you are making sure that you're listening for clues and cues that are going to help you to communicate effectively with your spouse. If
Yeah.
I would have just listened to Danny the first time when he was telling me, I'm not ready to talk about this, I would have permitted that moment. And I think that moment, honestly, as scary and as real as it was, has changed the trajectory of how we approach our communication like moving forward. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Like now we listen to each other. Now if we say, hey, I'm not ready to talk about it, then he says, I'm not ready to talk about it. I am now more aware that, okay, his emotions are really important. And I need him to be in the best mindset, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, to be able to talk things out and to sort things out. And I need to be in that position too. And if both of us are not in that position and we're not both ready, then definitely it's okay to take the time
Mm-hmm.
before you address certain things.
Yeah. Just again, it's a good point that Jenny's talking about. Um, to take the time to be able to gather your thoughts, your emotions, and to be on your right mind when talking about whatever it is that you have to talk about. Um, you hear a lot about it, folks. People that don't take the time to listen, and again, it was definitely something like Jenny said that could have been avoided. And I'm not trying to say that she got what she deserved, or I'm glad that it happened because now she knows. No, no, no. I'm not saying that. It could have been avoided, period.
Yeah.
But again, it was definitely my fault in the sense of I lost my cool. I did not keep my composure and I made the decision to snap. And then, Jenny also has some fault in the sense where she wasn't listening when I was telling her, hey, like Jenny, I'm too upset. Like, please stop. We'll talk about it, but not right now.
Yeah.
And so, again, guys, just keep in mind it's different for everybody. It's different for everybody, but the point of communication is exactly what it is: communication. You have to talk about it. So even though, we've had moments, Jenny and I, where like, one of us is too upset. And thankfully enough, I appreciate and I love the fact that Jenny's now comfortable to where she can express herself and she tells me, what, Danny, don't talk to me. Like, I'm too upset. Don't talk to me. And because I know how much I hate it, if I keep, if someone keeps pushing to get something out of me when I don't want to get it out, I just instantly like, okay, she tells me she doesn't want to talk about it. I just let it go. I drop it and just keep moving forward until she's good and ready. And she's very good at just like, okay, I'm okay now. Can we talk about this? All right, let's do it. What's up? And we talk about whatever it is that we feel. And so it's been a huge, huge component, and it's been a big game changer in our marriage too, because again, like now we have the freedom where we can literally just express to each other what we feel without the sense of like, is my spouse gonna flip crazy?
Yeah.
We have that sense of safety also where we both respect each other enough to where like, hey, you know what, Jenny? Like, I'm really pissed. Do me a favor and just please don't ask me anything.
Yeah.
And she's respectful enough to just let it be. And it honestly helps me. Like what I also wanted to share was it gives both parties the opportunity to really have the time to think about what happened. Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Why am I so bothered? Et cetera, et cetera. And you'd be surprised. It sometimes that's all you need. All you need is just a little bit of time to really go back and contemplate why things turned out the way they did.
Yeah.
And the conversation is so much healthier instead of just, trying to get it out right now because I want to get it fixed. And then it ends up being something far worse than what it could have been.
Yeah. The fifth point that I wanted to bring up about communication is that your words matter. And the choice of words that you use are very important in marriage.
Definitely. And I'll be the first to admit that I suck at it hard. I blow chunks at choosing words correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yes, and we're working on that. I mean, it's been 9 years.
I am working on that. It's been 9 years. Hey, I'm not perfect. I'm pretty sure when I die, I'm not going to be perfect still. So.
And I think the beauty of it is that we want to let you guys know we're not a perfect couple either. So we are as human and as flawed as everyone else. So we're sharing this because these are things that we've learned throughout the years of our marriage and things that I wish someone would have told us that was so important to put into practice in your first year of marriage, because it would have saved us so many heartaches or so many disappointments from each other. And so I think one of the biggest things is choosing your words wisely on how you're communicating, because communicating clearly is one thing, but if you don't know how to choose your words wisely when you're communicating clearly, then you can end up hurting. And words are very, very powerful. The Bible talks about like the power of the tongue, and how you communicate with your spouse and what you communicate to your spouse is very, very important.
Yeah.
Choosing your words wisely is extremely important.
Yeah. Another little story. I like stories, guys. So I'm gonna, stories is my thing. But this is a small one. Yeah, I remember once we were arguing. Jenny and I were fighting about something. I don't remember, and I remember being very upset. And then Jenny called me stupid. And guys, I lost it. I lost it. Like in my mind, I grabbed my Bible and I threw it out the window.
Hold on. I didn't call you stupid. I said this is stupid.
No. It was referred to me for sure, because you were upset too. You were definitely upset. I did something, I don't remember what, but you were very upset. called me stupid.
I didn't call you stupid. I know I said
Jenny,
whatever. Okay. Fine. I called you stupid.
and I lost it. Now, the reason why I lost my mind, and again, this is something that, that we'll also touch base on, was because when I was growing up as a kid, I was bullied. And what these bullies referred to me as, I was known as stupid kid. So they never called me by my name. I was known as stupid kid. So when they needed my attention, they would refer to me as stupid kid. And I hated them for it. So, Jenny, called me stupid about something that I did, or, she was upset. And I lost it. And man, I blacked out. Like, again, in my mind, I grabbed my Bible and I threw it out the window, and I put on my old self back on, zipped it up nice and tight, and I flipped. And again, I'm not a physically violent person. Thank God. I'm not that.
No, he's not. That's true.
But
Yeah.
I
Not
rem-
once has he lifted his
I,
hand at
rem-
me.
I remember I was very upset, and I just told Jenny, I said, it'll be the last time that you ever say that to me. Not that I meant anything by that, because the only thing I could have done was just walk away. But I mean, I was just, again, the power of words, like Jenny said, it's true. You'd be surprised, and there's so much that we've experienced growing up that sometimes our spouses are the ones that trigger us.
Yeah.
And that's honestly because of the fact that our spouses are the ones that know us, and they know our vulnerable moments in life.
In hindsight, though, I did not know that you were called stupid
Yeah.
kid.
And that is true. She wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
That was something that I hadn't shared with her when it happened. Obviously, when
Not to justify
right, again, yeah,
what I said.
we're not justifying, yeah. But, definitely, again, that was something that I never spoke about. I never told Jenny about that until that happened. I apologized, and I shared with her why I reacted the way I did.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's very important to understand. Like, words are going to be very powerful. There's moments where Danny, especially in our first year, like in our first years of marriage, Danny would say very hurtful things. But again, he didn't know them. He didn't know that that was hurting me because, again, of all the trauma,
yeah.
and we weren't communicating clearly.
No,
we
yeah,
just
we're
weren't.
not. And again, that's Jenny. You never said a lot of things. You never shared anything because you grew up with the mentality that obviously if you shared anything, your parents would just smack you.
Yeah.
And so to some extent, you actually believed that if you did the same thing with me, that I would actually physically hurt you.
Yeah.
And so that's why you didn't share. You wouldn't share much. You would just stay quiet and you would take it.
Yeah.
And so, which is again, that's not healthy either. But again, guys, I mean, we found out about this stuff by just talking. We took the opportunity to really sit and really ask each other the hard questions, like, hey, why do you react this way? Or why do you turn into this person and you say hurtful things? And folks, you would be surprised. A lot of it has to do with how we grew up. A lot of it has to do with relationships that we've experienced that, where we've been hurt by people that we love, that we never thought we would ever get hurt by them. Just home environments that were not healthy, that have hurt us, that we keep to ourselves and we bring along with us. And then all of a sudden, our spouse says something that just took us back to that, age when we were 5, 6, 7, and we just explode, or we just completely break down.
Yeah.
It's communication.
Yes, I think one of the biggest things that you have to understand is within your first year of marriage, or when you're doing premarital counseling and you're engaged. I think this is great for engaged couples to know and for married couples. I think when you're dating, you just have to protect yourself. There's some emotional boundaries that you have to set, that maybe you're not ready to still hear certain things or whatnot. But if you're engaged and you are married, I think the most important thing to understand is that you have to take the time to really talk to each other and be honest about things that have hurt you, facing and addressing words that are trigger words, and being able to talk about them in full honesty. So to recap, 5 things in communication. Number 1, honesty. Honesty is very important. Create a safe space where you can be honest. 2, be very clear and specific. 3, make sure that your emotions are in the right place. 4, listen to each other. And then 5, choose your words wisely.
Yeah, folks. It'll definitely change the trajectory of your marriage,
Yeah.
and for the better.
Yeah. So
So
we wish someone would have told us this
yeah.
when we first got married.
Yeah.
All right,
So
y'all.
thank you guys for the opportunity. We hope the best for all of you, and we'll see you soon.
Adios.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in. We really enjoyed hanging out with you. If you really enjoyed hanging out with us too, then we ask you for one simple favor. Go ahead and leave us a review and let us know how we did. We thank you so much and we really appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you next week. Adios.